quality assurance is a practice that's for large organizations. But the reality is it becomes the storefront to what you're doing. The experience that the customers have is going to be a good one. When you're deploying that software, the performance of that application, the experience that your customers are going to have remains in the realm of your responsibility. I would say everybody should think about leveraging it, incorporating it as in a way to help us better define test cases. If you take into account those elements early on, they're not going to be problematic. So make sure that you've allocated a part of budget. It does require a certain amount of time.
Today, we're diving into the critical world of software quality assurance, a foundational element for delivering high-quality solutions and building a robust business. Hi everyone, this is Maheen and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast, where we explore the strategic insights and innovative solutions that empower Canadian businesses to thrive in today's technological-driven world. Now today we're diving into the critical world of software quality assurance, a foundational element for delivering high-quality solutions and building a robust business. Because in an era where every company is a technology company, ensuring the quality of your software, services, and digital products is no longer optional. Our guest brings over 3 decades of experience and a passion for making quality assurance a strategic investment, not just an expense. Joining us today is David Milette, the co-founder and chief technology evangelist of SQALogic. David leverages the deep knowledge of quality engineering, DevOps, and Agile transformation to help organizations deliver more robust software solutions. He has worked with global markets and is a passionate community leader, co-founding AQAK Quebec and helping to bring back the Star Canada conference. Today, we'll discuss lots of why quality assurance and testing are a requirement for all businesses, how AI is changing the landscape, and the true cost of lack of QA in IT. So without further ado, let's welcome our guest, David. David, we're very pleased to have you on the show today. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Very pleased to have you with us. Now, David, you believe that quality assurance and testing are a requirement for all organizations, large and small. So let's really start with why this is such a critical component of business success. Tell us what affordable QA practices can SMEs adopt, and how does SQALogic's holistic approach go beyond tools and bug finding to boost software quality?
So there's a lot in there to unpack. Reality is in the industry, I think a lot of companies believe that software quality assurance is a practice that's for large organizations, banks, financial institutions, big, Fortune 500 type companies. But the reality is that, as IT is central to a lot of the business that's happening, it becomes the storefront to what you're doing in a lot of cases. Even if all you have is a small business that operates off of the web, if that is your storefront, the experience that people have in there is critical and important. So a percentage of the effort's gone into what you're building to showcase what you're selling, what you're positioning. I believe that a good part of that, a fair share of it should go into ensuring that it's a quality product that you're bringing to the market, that the experience that the customers have is going to be a good one. I would say that that's important. And one of the things that is important in that optics is thinking about the level of commit that you have towards that quality that you bring to the customers.
That's a very clear framework, David, and it's clear that a strategic approach to QA can deliver significant value and robust software solutions. Now, quality assurance, as we understand, is clearly a foundational requirement of pretty much all sizes to deliver high-quality software solutions and build a strong reputation. Now let's explore how QA can help businesses that rely on off-the-shelf SaaS and custom apps to avoid disruptions while still moving fast. Because many SMEs today, they really rely on a combination of off-the-shelf SaaS and custom applications, creating a complex digital ecosystem. David, how can QA help SMEs ensure smooth user experiences while moving fast, and what first steps or quick wins improve quality maturity?
So a good question. When you think about it, when we're looking at SaaS or off-the-shelf applications, we often think it's the responsibility of the provider who's providing us that software to deliver the experience. And in a way, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they are responsible for bug elimination of the core product and so forth, and they do test it within a controlled environment. However, when you're deploying that software, whether it's through SaaS or whether it's in a hosted environment of that nature, the performance of that application, the experience that your customers are going to have remains in the realm of your responsibility. So whether you're hosting that on, things like AWS or Azure, whether you're building your own infrastructure to host it,
Mm-hmm.
that end user experience still relies on the speed and efficiency at which you can get access to the application. And, part of that goes in with the notions of, for example, performance testing and performance validation. What is the expected load that you're going to see of that system? And will it scale accordingly to provide a good user experience? Statistically, if you look at it, like with the arrival of smartphones and mobile devices, patience of individuals towards not responding web pages, for example, has gone down dramatically. When we had simply a computer in front of us, we were willing to wait a little bit for the pages to load. However, with smartphones and so forth, it's a proven fact that the statistics say that customers will wait a second or two, and if it's not responsive, they'll delete that application and move on to the other alternative, because there's a lot of options, if you want, on the marketplace from that
Mm-hmm.
perspective.
Well, that's incredibly valuable advice, David. I mean, it's clear that even a small investment in QA can lead to such significant quick wins and, of course, the long term stability that comes with it.
Mhm.
Now, let's discuss the true cost of a lack of quality assurance versus the cost of a proactive QA strategy. Because, David, you have a powerful anecdote about how the value of QA is often overlooked until something goes wrong. Tell us, how does the cost of poor QA crashes, reputation damage, lost trust far outweigh investing in a proactive QA strategy?
So I mean, I think everybody, when they're thinking of bringing an application to the market, right, they're excited about the product that they're building, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of your dollars go into your R&D initiatives to building it out, and then to marketing it and to getting it out there. And these are all very valid points. Unfortunately, in the industry, as an expert who's been doing this for 30 years, QA sometimes is an afterthought. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that we often, I think, believe that we've got it right and it's just going to work the way it should work. And in reality, statistically, that's not the case. There are bugs we just omit ourselves as we're building it because we don't see the problems. That's why QA is a practice that involves an individual who's looking at it from the outside perspective, that hasn't actually built it, because they'll take a different spin at the way they navigate the application. They'll find things in a way that'll help avoid those problems. The cost of not doing QA is, if everything goes well, it's hard to see, right?
Right.
Yeah, you say everything's going great, so I don't really worry about it. The problem is in those scenarios where something does go wrong, and that is impacted by loss of customers. It's impacted by loss of faith in the product that was built forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, it can cause the demise of an organization in the worst case scenarios. So, I often do the comparison of the notion of buying insurance for your car, for your house, things of that nature. So, we buy it. Nobody's ever happy about buying the insurance. We always feel like it's costing us a lot of money to not
Right.
use it, until, we get sideswiped in a car and we have damage to the vehicle and we need to have it changed. Then we're very happy to have that insurance in place to cover that accident that happened. It's kind of the same thing. The investment in quality assurance and testing is to ensure that we don't face those types of problems and that we're not impacted by it. And in reality, I would say that on average, when you're building something, you should initially, from the get-go, from a budgetary perspective, factor in maybe 20 to 25%.
Mm-hmm.
If you're building a very mission critical application, lives depend on it and so forth. In some cases that goes up to 40-50% of the overall budget. But under most conditions, I would say around that range, about 20-25% of your overall budget should be looked at. So if you're building an application and it's costing you $100,000, factoring in about $25,000 out of that budget to ensure you're doing proper QA testing is important. And I bring that number into play because a lot of people perceive the investment in these types of things, acquiring tools and putting into practice, can be very, very expensive.
Right.
And it's sure that if you're a major bank and you're acquiring, a large scale acquisition of software and building big QA teams, yes, it can go up dramatically, but it doesn't have to be. So it's proportionate to your actual spend and what you're putting in from an IT perspective, that you'd look at that investment from a quality assurance perspective.
That's a very compelling analogy, David, and it's a powerful reminder that investment in QA is a form of risk management and, of course, brand protection. Listeners, if you're struggling with software bugs, system crashes, a lack of trust in your digital products, then learn from this conversation that we had with David about why quality assurance is essential, how AI is changing the landscape, and how to turn QA from cost into investment. Now let's continue our conversation with David. We will take a short break, but don't go anywhere, because when we return, we'll dive into how AI is changing the QA landscape and driving smarter, faster solutions. So please stay tuned.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep, healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah, well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep, that's all us. That's all UPS.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's now explore how AI is revolutionizing the world of quality assurance, bringing efficiency and smarter solutions to the forefront. Now let's explore how AI is changing the landscape and possibilities in quality engineering, because, David, AI now is rapidly changing every single industry that is out there, and quality engineering is no exception. Let's kind of discuss its transformational potential. How is AI transforming QA, and how does SQALogic use it with industry expertise to help businesses deliver stronger, tailored software solutions?
So this is a very valid point, and definitely one that comes up more often than anything else at this point. AI for us is something that we use on a day-to-day basis. I think for many people, it's becoming a key tool and part of the practice of what we're doing, even to handle little things. I find myself less going to Google search to go find answers to things, and using AI as an aggregate to collect data and move things forward, and help even sometimes center ideas. So just drop a bunch of abstract ideas of things and make something concise out of that. So as a tool, I think AI is extremely powerful. And clearly, as QA practitioners, I would say everybody should think about leveraging it, incorporating it as in a way to help us better define test cases of things that should be testing, better outline the path forward as far as what you should be looking at in the test that you're building. So yes, it's something that should be used as a tool, and there's a lot of the big players in the industry that are looking at incorporating AI all the way up to agentic AI, which will help auto-generate test cases for people and then run through those and kind of auto-maintain them. So this is very, very cool things in the industry that's happening. But for me, I think the fundamental question that people aren't asking enough in this space is, we can't forget that we are QA practitioners, right? Mm-hmm. And there is a level of skepticism in QA. It's about finding the bugs. It's about assuming that there's things that aren't perfect. And let's face it, I'm sure we've all had that experience of asking a question to AI and then saying, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense as an answer. Right. So it's not infallible, right? The big question for QA practitioners right now is, how do we as QA experts establish the practice of properly testing those applications that are built on AI? Because AI itself is a challenge, because it's never a consistent answer. It's not an on or an off. It's not a yes or a no. It's ask it a question 3 times and the answer will vary in the response, and it'll adapt. So you're testing for variables. You're not testing for constants. And that adds a certain layer of complexity. So it's an interesting time from that perspective. I think it actually is a great cost reduction when used right. But it's also about using it and putting it into the hands of proper people. A good analogy would be, if you're a lawyer and you know the general law, using it to fine point answers on certain things and dig up things is good because you have the background to analyze what it's telling you as an answer.
Absolutely.
However, if I use that to create my criminal defense, for example, if I'm in that type of a scenario, there would be probably risk for me to do that because I wouldn't be able to uncover those little nuances. So I consider AI as a great tool for somebody who has a level of base knowledge, at least, to use it to kind of elevate themselves, accelerate things. But it's not an end all to all problems either. So
absolutely. So that's a very fascinating and a forward-looking vision, David. And it's clear that AI is becoming a powerful tool for accelerating QA and really improving software quality. Now, finally, let's discuss your broader impact and your work in building community and SQALogic's future. David, because you're a community leader in building it, and of course, the thought leadership piece comes to it as well, having recently helped launch the AQAQ Quebec and bringing back the Star Canada conference. So tell us, what is your vision for SQALogic's growth, and how will initiatives like Star Canada help elevate QA and its future in Canada?
Good point. I've been in this, as you mentioned, for a good number of years, and I won't re-say it because it makes me feel old every time it comes out. But it's been a long time that I've been doing this, and a couple of years ago, I felt it was time to give back to the community, to help the next generation kind of forge forward with where this is going. And I got to admit that with the arrival of AI, it kind of drove me to stay on a little bit longer because I want to have a handle on some of the stuff that's happening. There's some very exciting things that are taking place. But part of that initiative was to bring back the community attitude over here, right? So QA itself is kind of a community. It's hard to get people together, right? And in fact, there were certain key events such as Star Canada, which is part of the TechWell Star events, which is a big, showing of QA practitioner get-togethers, Star East, Star West in the US. Right. And there was Star Canada. Star Canada stopped in 2018. And never really came back. So, after being a speaker at Star West last year, I started talking with the founder about bringing back Star Canada, and we got that going. This is actually happening end of October for a 4-day conference involving training, mentorship, a bunch of different conference speakers from around the world. Great way to kind of talk to the community, kind of learn about how to establish the practices within your organization. And you mentioned the AQAQ. Naturally, being from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, we are the French community, and it's even harder for us to get together and sort of forge something. So the AQAQ is about creating a Quebec-based French-speaking community of practitioners to talk about how things are changing, how AI is changing things, what different organizations are seeing, and elevate it. And the AQAQ is actually a chapter or a part of the CQTA, which is the Canadian Quality Testing Association, which is about broadening that from a Canadian perspective and sort of having those discussions about what our role should be in this evolving world where AI is pretty central.
That is very inspiring. Thank you so much, David, for doing so much. And it's clear that your work is really fundamentally shaping the future of quality assurance profession in Canada. Now, this has been a very engaging conversation. Really, it shows that your commitment to community, innovation, and education is clearly instrumental in building a stronger and a more vibrant QA ecosystem in Canada. As we wrap up now, David, what is that one key advice that you'd like to give to Canadian SMEs on making software QA a strategic investment for their business?
Yeah, I would say just ensure that as you're thinking of the products that you want to bring to market and kind of the direction that you're taking of thing, ensuring that you've allocated 2 critical parts of that. So make sure that you've allocated a part of budget, because it's not after at the time when everything is already budgeted and spent that you got to find the additional dollars. It's problematic, even more so when you're a small to medium business, where that's important, kind of where the dollars go, and it's hard to find those additional funds. And the time, because this is the other element. Like there's a window for us to be successful. We all want to go fast. We all want to get our product out there before the competition and differentiate. But quality has to be factored in. It does require a certain amount of time, right? If we're going to do automated tests, for example, those tests need to be built ahead of time so that we can run and execute them. If we're doing manual testing or validation of the core application, we need to target a certain period of time. So, those are 2 elements that if we don't think of them ahead of time and factor them in, they can kind of catch up to us at the end with additional costs or additional time on a project that helps, that doesn't help us. It forces us to kind of push out release dates or things of that nature. So, I mean, if you take into account those elements early on, they're not going to be problematic. So factoring that in and just using a kind of a ballpark idea, like I said, 15 to 20%, and again, add on a bit of time. So from an hour's perspective, to allow you to test those things, it'll avoid some of those hassles and problems.
That's an actionable and a very powerful message, David. Thank you for that. And it's been a great pleasure having you on the show. So thank you so much for coming in here and really sharing your vision and your expertise with our audience. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And that was an insightful conversation with David Milette, the co-founder and chief technology evangelist of SQALogic, on why quality assurance is a requirement for all, the cost of lack of QA, AI's impact on the landscape, and his vision for the future of software quality in Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your continued support. Please be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert insights and resources that can help your business thrive. You can also visit our website, CanadianSME.ca, for valuable information and tools. Special shout out to our partners before we leave, to RBC, UPS, A1 Global College, ADP, and Google for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses in Canada. Until next time, please keep innovating and striving for success. We'll see you in the next episode.